Today, we're going to talk about one of the coolest blue cards in all of Magic history and what has spawned from it since the beginning. Greetings, owners of fine luxury cardboard rectangles, coming at you with the wild, crazy anime hair. Look at this, it's all crazied up today. All right, so who are we talking about today? Some of you already know from the thumbnail because you will have recognized the image of the Vesuvan doppelganger. Oh, lordy, lordy. I don't know why, but to me, she's always been the Blue Queen. I never really thought about it, but that's always how deep underneath I thought about her. Now, I absolutely love this card. I have multiple copies of it. This one was sent out to me by Ranga Reviews. So enough of that. Let's get one up on the screen so we can have a proper look at it. And I'm going to read the original wording to you. Not the new Oracle wording, the original wording. So for 2 blue and 3 colorless, you get a star, yes, not XX, star, old school. So upon summoning, Doppelganger requires all characteristics except color of any one creature in play on either side. Any creature enchantments on the original creature are not copied. I love how these old school cards covered rules, concepts, that now when they make cards like this that copy, they don't go, you don't also get the enchantments, but back then they used to include corner cases like that right on the card to try and reduce rules confusion. During controller's upkeep, Doppelganger may take on the characteristics of a different creature in play instead. Doppelganger may continue to copy a creature even after that creature leaves play, but if it switches, it won't be able to switch back. Pretty interesting. All it's saying is each upkeep, you can change the creature that this is copying, but it can only change into creatures that are clearly on the battlefield to be targeted. So you can't revert to creatures that are no longer on the battlefield to be retargeted. Now, the reason they did this kind of clarification is all we had back then, you couldn't go on the internet, right? You couldn't look for rules clarification. So we had a little rule book. And even then, this card was played incorrectly. How everybody played it, and I mean absolutely everybody, was when this card came into play, it would come as a copy, right? So let's say you like the most famous example I can think of from the history for me would be this and Triskelion. All right, so Triskelion is a 6 casting cost artifact. It's a 1/1, but it comes into play with 3+1/+1 counters. Now, we all know how Vesuvan works. Now, if you cast it, when you cast it, if you choose to make it a Triskelion, it will come into play with 3+1/+1 counters. But if you choose to change it to a Triskelion during your upkeep, then it's only going to become the 1/1 Triskelion, and it's not going to have those 3+1/+1 counters. Well, back in the day, that's not how it played. This was treated, every time it changed during the upkeep, it was treated as if it was like a fresh summoning of the creature. So you could, every turn, reset this as a Triskelion for 3 points of damage, or there was that other flying creature, Triskelavis or something like that, and that was a 1/1 with 3+1/+1 counters that you could remove to make little flying 1/1 creatures. And that was a Voltron style dude. So that's what this was used by a lot of players. I didn't play that style. What I like to use her with, I just liked using her with Mahamodi Djinn, big old fat Modi, the 5/6 flyer, and he was king back then. That was a huge card. This was a huge card, and I loved using it with control magic. I enjoyed the fact that you could go ahead and take your opponent's, like a copy of your opponent's creature. Not take your opponent's creature, but you could control magic, then you could copy it as well. Like, it's so, this is a very versatile card from the beginning of Magic. On top of it, the artwork itself is absolutely gorgeous. Now, obviously, on the screen, my lovely editor will have put up a nicer resolution version for you to look at, but I'm going to use this. By the way, guys, this is a trophy from a tournament I won back in 1996. What month was it? Because I have a bunch of these. June. This is one for June. All right. Yeah, I have a bunch of different ones, but this is my favorite. I absolutely love Quentin Hoover's artwork. It's absolutely gorgeous. And there are some differences. Obviously, this is supposed to be an exact duplicate. This is done before they did like computer style artwork, so this was all done by hand. Hoover himself said that there are some differences, and you can see them if you look in areas like the bracelet. You can see that it on the one side, the bracelet tightens up on the wrist closer, and on the bracelet on the other wrist, there's a larger amount of space between. There's all these very minor sort of variations between the two. But conceptually, the idea of the doppelganger, it's been a fantasy trope for a while, right? You have the old school shapeshifters that would like steal children and replace them. But for me, and probably for more of you, you'd be familiar with the North American doppelganger, which comes from Dungeons and Dragons mainly, and they're normally depicted as humanoids, but kind of grotesque with maybe like grayish, brownish kind of skin that just can take on the form of any other humanoid. Well, these doppelgangers are stronger because they can, obviously in this shape, they're humanoid. And I love the fact that it shows that the Vesuvan also copies the abilities of the creatures just by showing, look, not only am I a copy of her, but I can harness the same magic that she can. So it's transmitted fantastically in the art. Quentin Hoover has an incredibly distinctive art style where he does these lines, just these dark lines to outer edge them. Hey, this one actually has a bigger rack. Fancy that. All right, so this was the original. People absolutely loved this. It spawned another card called the Vesuvan Shapeshifter. That one came out in Time Spiral. Now this one, I like that both of the Vesuvan cards have a beautiful kind of symmetry to them, but I don't like the artwork for the Shapeshifter. I think that it's pretty gross. It works very similar to the Doppelganger, but its changing ability is based off of morph instead. And you can actually see that depicted in the artwork. You can see what kind of looks like a spider husk down there in the corner that the copy is coming up out of. And each turn, the Vesuvan Shapeshifter can return to that weird spidery form and then burst back out of it as another creature. So that's a different variation of the same kind of concept. And it's not quite as strong, obviously, because you do have to keep flipping it, but you do get to choose when it happens as well. So there are some different abilities, and it also can take advantage of creatures that do have the morph ability as well, right? Because if you have other creatures that have abilities that trigger when they turn face up, the original doppelganger cannot capitalize on those. So it's a nice nod to that card. It has the same casting cost, same power and toughness, incredibly similar in function. Now, both of these creatures hail from the same location, Vesuva. And Vesuva was depicted in a magic card. It's cool. It's the ruins of Vesuva. And for those of you who don't know, Vesuva is an isle. It's a little island from Dominaria. It's on Dominaria. And it is inhabited by shapeshifters, doppelgangers, and illusionary creatures. And it's obviously an intensely magical place. Any creature that went there, either a doppelganger would come and copy them or a magical illusion of themselves would form. And these copies end up being hostile to the original. So you're dealing with a situation where visitors to the island have to grapple with versions of themselves that are equally powerful and hostile to them, know all their weaknesses. It's an interesting concept. Now, there's not a ton of like backstory in terms of Vesuva. Originally it was depicted on the card Vesuva, which lets you copy any other land, which is a fun nod to the concept of how Vesuvans work. It depicts the ruins of Vesuva though, but what's neat is if you actually take a look at the artwork, you can see the ruins of Vesuva there, but if you look in the water, the reflection of it is actually perfectly fine. It's the original undamaged Vesuva, and that's funky, and you can see that even further because they actually created Vesuva for Plane Shift as well, or Plane Chase. Which is it? It's Plane Chase. That's it. Sorry, I'm forgetting the names of it. They put planes in the names of so many things now. So, anyways, they did an actual plane for Vesuva, and you can see it. They actually went ahead and they contacted the same artist responsible for the original Vesuva artwork and said, "Can you do a restored version of it?" So they actually went ahead and did that, and you can see it in the Vesuvan plane, which is really, really cool. Obviously, it's earth-shattering. You can see the camera shaking and swaying because of it. So that not only did they have the plane up there, but cool enough, there's actually a concept sketch. So let's put that up there for a second. Look at that as well. There's some subtle little differences, although I do want to note that some of the changes I like. Like in the sketch, you can see that off on the side, on the hill, there's somebody, it looks like they're standing there with a cane. When you look at the finished artwork of the plane, you can actually see that there's a person standing on the cliff but they look almost like they're the mirror image of the statue that they're across from. And there's two people shown on a bridge together, which I like that. I feel like you shouldn't see anybody alone there. Now, Vesuva, aside from this, is only referenced on one card in more recent times, and that's the Helm of the Hosts, where it talks about the helm actually was formed out of flowstone, which is from Wrath. So I guess it's from the Wrathy overlay, I guess. Maybe something like that. Anyways, it's formed out of flowstone, and the helm belongs to the Queen of Vesuva. And I don't know, there's a part of me that likes picturing this is the Queen of Vesuva. Like, this is the original doppelganger. What if she figured the place out and, like, took it all over, and she's the one wearing that helm? I don't know. I think that's pretty cool story-wise. Now, my friends, would you like to know why I reacted like this? Oh no! Yeah, I bet you want to know what's going on there. Well, you're going to need to head on over to my other channel. I already did a half-an-hour live stream over there, boys. One of the side effects, apparently, of getting banned off of Twitter was reminding me, hey, I have a second YouTube channel. And I'm going to be using it as a tool to help me quit smoking as well. So, we're going to be doing a bunch of fun stuff over there as well. Go over, check the video out, see if you like it on over there. I'll share a link for you at the end. We're going to do the Scriggity Scroll. Let's do the scroll in 1 second here.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Elwyn here. And my name actually means friend of the elves. As you can see, I have my Nissa playmat here. And I've always been a fan of elves in everything, but especially in magic. The thing that appeals to me most about them in magic is whether it's their connection to family, to creatures in general, to the land around them, or their willingness to give of themselves to others. Or just how long they've been around and how willing they are to help. They're a part of it all. And they gain their strength from being around each other. Which brings me to the point of the video. Together, we are the sixth color of magic.
Alright, we're back for the scroll. Roll it! It's time to add the newest member. You'll see him at the end. His name is David Davidson, son. Thanks for joining my Patreon, brother. Welcome to the Golden Lords of Purple. Now, as I just mentioned before, it's time for you to head on over and figure out what's going on with why was I freaking out over there? Oh, and you know what? I'll give you another teaser over there. You want to see 10 of the dumbest baby names in the world and me freaking out about it? Then click here. Let's do it. I'll see you over on my other channel, baby. Let's have some fun. And I'm history, baby.